Cal and his sister Becky are driving to San Diego, running away from home because Becky is 6 months pregnant and their parents didn't react well. As they drive, Becky starts feeling sick, so Cal pulls over near a church so she can throw up. Just as they're about to leave, Becky hears a young boy's voice calling for help from the tall grass nearby. Cal parks the car, and they call back to the boy, who says he's been trapped in the grass for days. Suddenly, a book appears on the side of the road, and they hear a woman's voice telling the boy to stop shouting. Cal thinks the boy must be close to the road, so he goes into the grass to help. Becky follows while trying to call 911, but her phone loses signal as she moves deeper inside. When she looks up, she realizes she has lost sight of Cal. She shouts to find him and suggests they go back to the car because something feels wrong, but first they need to find each other. Becky starts reciting an old rhyme loudly to help Cal locate her. However, Cal gets confused. At first, her voice sounds like it's coming from one side, then suddenly it seems to come from the other. Cal and Becky agree to jump at the same time to see where they are. On the first jump, they spot each other, but on the second, they are suddenly much farther apart, even though neither of them moved. After the jump, Becky slips and falls into the mud. Panicked, Cal runs toward her, but he ends up slipping too. As he gets up, he is horrified to find a dead dog named Freddy, covered in flies. It looks like the dog has been there for a long time. Hours go by, and the siblings still can't find each other or a way out. As the sun sets, they realize they are trapped in the endless grass. Becky calls out for Cal again, but exhaustion takes over, and she decides to sit and wait for him to find her instead. Suddenly, she sees a strange figure moving through the grass. Fear grips her, but when the figure gets closer, she sees it's just a man named Ross. He offers to help her get out, explaining that he has found the exit but hasn't left yet because he's searching for his wife and son, the boy whose voice they heard earlier. Becky feels uneasy about Ross, but she has no other choice and accepts his help. Together, they start searching for Cal. Meanwhile, Cal keeps calling for Becky, but gets no response. Feeling frustrated, he suddenly hears something moving nearby. It's Tobin, the young boy who had been calling for help earlier. Tobin tries to comfort Cal and says that things are easier to find once they're dead. This unsettling statement confuses Cal, and he asks Tobin if he was the one who tricked them into entering the field. But Tobin denies it, explaining that he and his family entered the grass after hearing a man calling for help. He also admits that he doesn't even know how long they've been trapped. Tobin then makes a chilling prediction. He says Becky will be dead soon. Cal is shocked and asks how the boy knows that Becky is his sister. Tobin simply replies that the rock told him. He explains that the rock teaches people how to hear the grass, which is how he knows things. Without giving more details, Tobin starts guiding Cal toward Becky. Meanwhile, as Becky and Ross walk, they talk about her baby. Ross correctly guesses that the baby's father isn't with her. As they continue, Becky notices medicine bottles and scissors scattered on the ground, but she has no idea where they came from. Then when she looks around again, Ross is suddenly gone. Feeling uneasy, Becky calls out for him, but gets no answer. She then switches to calling for Cal, hoping he'll hear her. But before she can react, something suddenly grabs her and drags her deeper into the grass. Back with Tobin, he leads Cal to a strange clearing, an open area where the grass doesn't grow. In the center stands a massive, mysterious rock. Tobin urges Cal to touch the rock, but as Cal gets closer, he hears strange whispers that sound like tribal chants. Just before he can touch it, he suddenly hears Becky screaming. Without hesitation, Cal runs toward her voice, ignoring Tobin's warnings not to go in that direction. Suddenly, the scene changes to a bright, clear day. A truck pulls up at a gas station on the same road as the church. The driver is Travis, Becky's ex, who has come looking for her and Cal. When he doesn't find them at the train station, he continues driving and eventually spots their car parked near the church. Looking inside, he sees the car covered in dust and bugs, as if it's been there for weeks. Concerned, Travis calls out their names and searches the area, but there's no response. He steps inside the church, but it's empty. On his way out, he notices a book lying on the ground. When he picks it up, he's shocked to see Becky's name written inside. Realizing they might have gone into the tall grass, Travis decides to follow. He carefully folds the grass down and follows the position of the sun to keep track of his way back. But every time he moves, the grass unfolds itself as if it was never touched. After a few steps, he notices something strange. The sun is no longer where it should be. Confused but determined, he keeps walking until night falls. Exhausted, Travis lies on the ground, staring at a photo of Becky. Just then, something startles him. Tobin suddenly appears out of nowhere. Strange whispers and eerie laughter echo through the grass as Tobin speaks. He already knows Travis's name and why he's here. He then tells Travis he can take him to Becky. Travis follows Tobin, but his relief turns to horror when he finds Becky's dead body in the middle of the field. Heartbroken, he clings to her as he cries. Tobin explains that the grass doesn't move dead things, making them easier to find. When Travis looks up, Tobin has vanished. The next morning, Travis wakes up beside Becky's body. He takes her necklace and starts moving again. Soon he hears a voice and calls for help. Tobin responds and Travis calls out again, hoping the boy will find him. But when Tobin appears, he looks clean and unharmed, standing with his parents, Natalie and Ross, along with their dog Freddie. This reveals that the field is caught in a time loop. Suddenly, Freddie runs into the grass, and Tobin chases after him, ignoring Natalie's warnings. Travis realizes Tobin had escaped and tries to stop him from going back in, but it's too late. Tobin is returning for his family. Natalie hears her son's voice and separates from the group to find him. By nightfall, Ross is searching alone and stumbles upon the mysterious rock. The next morning, Tobin is calling for help while Becky and Cal are back outside the field near their car. Only this time, Travis is trapped inside. When he hears Becky's voice, he calls out to her, shocking both siblings. When they respond, Travis explains that he came looking for them, but Becky is skeptical. Suddenly, Tobin starts reciting Becky's rhyme. Following the sound, Travis finally finds him. Becky does the same and reunites with Travis, making things awkward between them. Soon after, Cal joins them and is clearly unhappy to see Travis there. As they stand together, they come across Freddie's dead body. Travis then tells Becky and Cal that they've been missing for 2 months, but they don't believe him because from their point of view, they've only been gone for 2 days. Becky suddenly feels like they're being watched and insists they need to leave. Travis lifts Tobin onto his shoulders to help spot a way out, and the boy sees a building in the distance, so they start walking toward it. As they move, Cal asks Travis if he told anyone where they were, hoping someone will come looking for them, but Travis admits he didn't. Becky suddenly feels pain in her belly, prompting Travis to ask about the baby. She tells him it's a girl and lets him feel the baby kick. Just then, a phone starts ringing. Shocked, they answer it and hear a voice that sounds exactly like Becky's, crying and begging them not to let Cal hurt Travis, warning that they are repeating the same mistake over and over. The call is unbelievable, but they decide to keep moving, unaware that someone is watching them from within the grass. A few steps later, Becky slips in the mud, and as she falls, she sees terrifying visions, images of a baby, endless tall grass, and strange figures approaching her. The fear overwhelms her, and she faints. Cal and Travis rush to help, but at that moment, Ross appears and offers to lead them out. Travis tells him about the building Tobin saw, so he lifts the boy again to check, but this time, there is no building. There is only grass everywhere. Ross mysteriously comments that this is just how things work in the field. The group keeps walking and eventually arrives at the strange rock again. This time, they notice it is covered in carvings. Ross seems to understand them, claiming they represent a higher knowledge. As he explains, he touches the rock, seeming almost entranced. The others find his behavior unsettling. Ross then urges Cal to touch the rock too, saying he will gain knowledge just like him. Before Cal can do anything, Natalie suddenly appears from the grass, yelling at Ross to stay away from them. She is clearly terrified of her own husband and warns the others that he is lying. Natalie then reveals something shocking. She has seen Becky and Ross before, but in that vision, Becky was already dead, and Ross had tried to hurt her. Ross denies it, but as they argue, Becky experiences another disturbing vision. This time, she sees Ross looking unnatural and almost supernatural within the grass. Horrified, she tells Travis and Cal they need to leave. They try to get Natalie and Tobin to come with them, but Ross refuses to let them go. He keeps insisting that they must touch the rock. Travis finally loses patience and cuts Ross off, which leads to a heated argument that quickly turns into a fight. As the two men struggle, Becky urges Cal to help Travis, but Cal refuses. Meanwhile, Ross continues trying to force Travis to touch the rock. Eventually, Ross overpowers him and wins the fight, but his madness doesn't stop there. He turns on Natalie and brutally kills her by smashing her head with his bare hands. Realizing how dangerous Ross has become, the rest of the group runs for their lives. As they flee, they spot Freddie the dog and decide to follow him, hoping he can lead them somewhere safe. He leads them to an abandoned building. Once inside, tensions rise again. Travis and Cal, both exhausted and frustrated, start blaming each other for everything that has happened, leading to another argument. Cal accuses Travis of abandoning Becky and pressuring her to terminate the baby. In response, Travis fires back, suggesting Cal has inappropriate feelings for his own sister. Enraged, Cal throws a punch, and a fight breaks out between them. Before it can go further, Ross catches up and starts breaking down the door. The group quickly escapes to the roof, where they spot the church across the field. However, reaching it means going through the grass, so they search for another way. Suddenly, Travis sees Freddy running, but the dog vanishes into the grass, making them suspect there's a break in the loop that could lead them out. Looking for more clues, Travis steps to the roof's edge but slips. Cal sees him falling but does nothing to save him, letting him hit the ground. Tobin witnesses everything, and when Cal notices, he tries to justify himself. Meanwhile, Ross gets closer, forcing the group to flee again. Becky asks about Travis, refusing to leave without him. When Cal hesitates to answer, she becomes suspicious and walks away from him. Cal tries to follow, but Ross grabs him, revealing that he knows exactly what happened to Travis. Cal struggles to escape, but Ross holds him down, trapping him. Suddenly, countless bodies appear throughout the tall grass. Meanwhile, Travis, who is still alive, gets up and starts searching for Becky. He calls out to her, and she responds, but they can't see each other. Frustrated, they both lie down in the grass and talk about their child again. Travis expresses happiness about Becky keeping the baby, but she confesses the truth. She never planned to. They were going to San Diego because a family there wanted to adopt the child. Upset, Travis swears he will find a way out. Before he can do anything, Ross suddenly attacks Becky. As they struggle, Becky reaches for the scissors she found earlier, but Ross quickly knocks them out of her hand. He forces her to the ground with sinister intent, but in the struggle, she manages to grab the scissors again and stabs Ross in the eye. As the rain begins to pour, Becky runs as fast as she can, only to realize in horror that dozens of eerie, grass people are closing in from all directions. They grab her and drag her deeper into the field. Moments later, Becky wakes up in the mud in front of the rock. Desperate, she pulls out her phone and makes a call. It turns out to be the same call they heard earlier, warning not to let Cal hurt Travis. Before she can process this, the grass people return, surrounding her as she suddenly goes into labor. As intense pain overtakes her, Becky experiences more visions, realizing that her childbirth mirrors the ancient drawings on the rock. After struggling to push, she finally hears her baby crying, but she can't see her. Suddenly, the ground begins to shake, and a massive chasm opens between her and the rock. Becky staggers to the edge and looks down, horrified to see countless people clinging to the roots of an ancient tree, desperately trying to escape. She screams in terror before exhaustion overwhelms her, and she passes out. Becky wakes up and asks about her baby. To her relief, Cal is there, comforting her and giving her water. He shows her a baby, making her feel at peace. Exhausted, she closes her eyes as Cal feeds her. Starving, she eats without question, but something about the taste feels off. When she realizes she's eating human flesh, she panics. Cal isn't real. He's actually Ross. Meanwhile, a badly injured Travis keeps searching for Becky. He eventually finds her lying alone. When she asks about the baby, Travis touches her belly and realizes the baby is gone. Overwhelmed with grief, he breaks down. Tobin appears and warns Travis that Ross has killed everyone and will never stop, trapping them in an endless cycle of death. Scared, Tobin cries, and Travis hugs him, promising to protect him. Determined, Travis calls out to Ross, challenging him. Ross emerges from the grass and attacks, beating Travis down with a bone before turning on Tobin. He tries to force the boy to touch the rock, but Becky suddenly gets up and strikes Ross from behind, knocking him off Tobin before collapsing again. Seeing his chance, Travis gets up and fights back, slamming Ross's head against the rock. Finally, he kills him by strangling him with grass. Shaken, Travis rushes to Becky, holding her as he cries. With no other options left, he approaches the rock. Despite Tobin's desperate warning that touching it will trap him forever, Travis ignores him and places his hand on the stone. Instantly, a strange sensation washes over him. A red light bursts from the rock, spreading across the field like a cleansing force. Travis, now altered and eerie like Ross once was, frightens Tobin. The boy tries to run, but Travis stops him, gently urging him to listen. The rock has given him knowledge of the field, just as Ross claimed. Travis leads Tobin near the entrance and tells him to escape, warning Becky and Cal not to enter. If they stay away, the loop might finally break. He hands Tobin Becky's necklace as proof before pushing him out of the field. In an instant, Tobin finds himself inside the church attic. He rushes outside and sees Becky and Cal about to enter the field after hearing cries for help. Desperate, he runs to stop them. Strangely, the voice calling from the grass sounds exactly like his own, confusing Cal, who moves closer. Tobin pleads with Becky to believe him. To prove his story, he shows her the necklace Travis gave him. Stunned, Becky compares it to her own, and upon hearing Travis's name, finally understands. She stops Cal and convinces him to leave. Taking Tobin with them, they drive away. However, instead of continuing to San Diego, Becky decides to go back. She's changed her mind and will keep the baby. In the field, Travis hears Becky's decision. Finally at peace, he lies down and lets the grass consume him, knowing the cycle has been broken.